notice when we're hunting mushrooms, for some reason there's a need to speak very quietly. I suppose that's because in the mushroom hunting community, if you're hunting on public property, you don't want other people to know where your spots are at, but I think it's kind of silly. But chanterelles really are my favorite mushroom. Chicken of the woods is up there, but it's elusive and difficult to find. Chanterelles come up in the same spots, and they're easy to see because they're orange, and the texture is like no other mushroom. It's firm, you can really cook it down and get it brown and crisp, and you really don't have to bushwhack to find them. They're easy to see. You can literally walk on a trail and find a bunch of them, and when you find one patch, you're likely going to find enough to fill up your bag. So if you're going to learn one edible, that's the one. Forget about morels. They're hard to find and not as good, in my opinion.
So I want the record to show that I went out 2 weekends in a row to see if these were up. So you have to be persistent.
All right, we're going to dip down in the woods here. It's been raining a lot and getting cooler in the evening, so should be able to find a good patch of chanterelles. Right here, there's a bunch of ink caps, which are edible but disgusting, so we'll leave those alone.
So in my experience, you have 3 other mushrooms that come up before the chanterelles. You have the ink caps, you have the crown-tipped coral mushrooms, these right here, and then you have the rossulas, and shortly thereafter, the chanterelles.
Russulas or rossulas, I'm not quite sure how you say these. They're up. They're a very delicate, crumbly mushroom. Some people say that they are edible. It's just, you'd pretty much have to eat it on the spot or they'd fall apart before you got home. So not choice. But they normally come up before the chanterelles, so keep looking. I was just about ready to turn around and go home. And wouldn't you know it, there are the first chanterelles of the season. They're peeking around there. I'm gonna actually take a few of these because I like them when they're small, but at least I know they're coming up now. Here's a decent one, a little bit chewed up on the end. This may look like it's growing out of the wood here, but it's not. They grow right out of the ground, and there are a few different kinds. These here are golden, this little clump. They range in color from this light yellow to really golden, and there are a couple different varieties. These are my favorite, the string cheesy textured. They fry up nice. You can do some more. Let's go get those. You don't have to bother cutting these, just pull them off, and I usually like snip off the bottom there. You want to keep them as clean as you can in your bag, and then just put them in the bag. Whew. I'm definitely glad I got out. They were calling for a thunderstorm, and I was going to wait till tomorrow, but now I know they're there, and we got a good score. I'm going to keep looking, but I got a pretty nice haul here already. I find these low light days where the sunlight is hidden behind the clouds are actually the best for mushroom hunting. The sun doesn't get in your eyes, and it's just easier to spot the mushrooms on the ground. And you just get an eye for it after a while. Once the shape and color and texture of the mushroom sort of burned into your mind, you'll see them easily. You still get fooled, like there's a orange leaf right there. That's why I walked over here, but it's just an orange leaf. So here's where you have to be a little bit careful. I spotted these from afar, and they look like a nice chanterelle, but they have gills. I don't know what these are, but they're not chanterelles, so I'm going to leave them. But that's one telltale sign. Chanterelles do not have gills, and really the only truly unpleasantly poisonous mushroom that looks like chanterelles are jack-o'-lanterns, and they're much brighter orange, and they grow out of wood in big clusters. Leave those be. Here's another one worth talking about. So I think you can see at first glance that these are different mushrooms, but that orange color might attract you to them. Look, notice that there are gills, and there is this partial veil here. These are amanitas of some variety or another. I will double check those, but there are 1 or 2 varieties of amanita that are edible, but there are many that are highly poisonous with amatoxins, and I just avoid those because I'm not familiar with them. But keep an eye on these, especially if you're with kids, because you could see how, to the untrained eye, they might attract you. But look, let me hold one up here. They're not the same thing. Very different mushrooms, but to an untrained eye, you might end up with one of these in your bags. That could be a deadly mistake. All right, so here's one that's worth talking about. These are not jack-o'-lanterns. These are orange bonnets. They grow on wood in tight clusters, and I suppose if you were a really novice, you could mistake these, but look how small they are. And there are some chanterelles that are this bright orange with a stem like that, but they're tiny and they grow on wood. Chanterelles don't grow on wood. It might occasionally look like that, but if you ruffle the leaf litter away, you're going to see that it's actually growing out of the ground, and they grow singly. Even though sometimes they will like grow together and clump up, they grow single out of the ground. Now, here's an interesting lookalike. I don't know what this is, but it's growing on wood, so I know it's not a chanterelle, and it doesn't have gills. So whatever this guy is, this could definitely end up in your bag, but if you pull it, it's really hard to tear, unlike chanterelles. It even has that a bit of a string cheese texture to it, but you can see here it has a gill surface underneath the pores. But it's growing on wood, so we know it's not a chanterelle. So here's another lookalike. This is the golden gill geronima, but it has gills and it's growing on wood, so not chanterelles. There's a super deadly mushroom, the red 12 gauge shotgun shell. If you're hunting, boys, pick these things up and take them with you. Well, guys, I got a nice little bag of chanterelles here. I could keep hunting, but no need to be greedy. Also, I wanted to say, you can see that the ironweed and wing stem is coming up in the fields behind me. That's something else to note. Just note all the signs around so that you know when to go. But it's a great first mushroom to hunt, edible first mushroom to hunt, because they're easy to find, they're delicious, and they come up in the same spots every year, and you're not going to be trudging through the woods looking for an elusive morel, which in my opinion aren't that great anyway. But I also wanted to say that I get a lot of comments like, oh, I'll just leave that to the experts. And I hate that attitude. I really do. I understand there really are deadly mushrooms growing in your backyard likely, and you want to know what those are. But if you use that dummy rule for everything in life, you'll never develop a self-reliant attitude. You always think like, oh, I can't change my toilet, I'll leave that to the plumber. Can't change a light, can't wire my house, leave that to the electrician. I don't think that's a good attitude to have. Figure out what you can do, and there's really nothing you can't now with the advent of the internet and YouTube. So just give it a try. You're gonna screw up, but the screw up's not going to be that badly. And in the case of mushrooms, just double, triple check. Get somebody to go with you that knows more than you do, and just learn as you go. But a little bit of knowledge will get you a bag of delicious, nutritional food, and that knowledge will be with you for the rest of your life. Well, guys, until I see ya, I'll see ya on the next one. I'll see ya again.